Hello guys, welcome back. So this is... Well, this is interesting. Didn't know if that was going to work. Kind of glad it didn't, to be honest. Quite like that as an intro. Hello guys, look at this guy. So, as a few of you will know, as I've mentioned it countless times throughout the time on this channel, this is my city, Elgin. It is technically classed as a city, mostly because we do actually have a cathedral, and it is a fully functioning one, technically. Now, what do I mean by technically? Well, I'll show you. So over there, past the red building, there is a cathedral. Although, technically it doesn't have a roof. Or a few walls. Basically that started going blurry, so I've decided to go back to facing me. So over there we have our cathedral. Now, it is technically still a fully functioning cathedral. Except, it doesn't have a roof. And it's missing a few walls. And was burnt down twice. But it's still classed as a cathedral due to it still holds religious, I don't want to say festivals, because that sounds quite cultish / paganistic. Basically we have Christmas carols there. We have Easter Passover there. There is not an actual minister or cardinal or whatever that works there full time. It's just the other priests and whatnot from around Elgin, which we get over there. Which means that we are only barely passable as a city, but we still do stuff there. I was trying to get it in shot, but you can see about here. See that tower there? That's a hospital. So we have a big hospital named after Dr. Gray, who I'm not going to be able to show you, but I will be able to show you on this beautiful map that we have, which, yes, I did place my phone on to begin with. He also created... Oh, here we go, actually. Swap the camera. So this is Elgin 2010, sitting in Royal Borough. I'll explain the Royal Borough a bit in a minute. So Bin Hill. Here. So Anderson's Institution. Now that was set up by Dr. Gray, the guy that the hospital, Dr. Gray's, is named after. But we also have the museum that was set up 1842, St. Giles Church, which, gotta zoom in, might not be there. Whoa, extreme. There. Actually, I didn't really need to zoom in if I was going to put my finger in, but alas. And then there we go. Elgin Cathedral, 1224. So we've also got Spiny Palace over there, and then this. So that's another reason. Spiny over there. There's another reason why we're technically a royal borough, but it is also because of this beautiful thing here. This big wall. Now, this big wall actually extends back here. Now, they think that well, I don't think, they know. This is Elgin Castle. The castle on the hill. Yes. Now, they're not 100% sure if it spans this entire hill. Oh, it's okay, the guy with the dog's gone. So there was a guy wandering around, and I didn't really want to show him in footage just in case. But yeah, they don't know if it spanned the entire hill, because it is very like it's very hilly and whatnot, or if all this is just kind of sunk into the ground since the 1200s. They probably, now I say since the hundreds, I can't remember exactly, but we do actually have. So this is a foundation that was set up in Murray, the castle to cathedral to Kashmir. Now, what that means is castle, Lady Hill, cathedral, which is over there, and if I can get my bearings right, I might be able to show you Johnson's, which is a woolen mill. It's wool produced by goats. I can't really get my bearings right. It's brilliant. Basically, we also have a big woolen mill that produces some fantastic woolen products, which are very expensive and is sold in a shop which is round about here, and is actually sold definitely across Scotland, I believe Britain, but I'm not sure about internationally. But yes, that is what the Castle to Cathedral to Kashmir project was about. Now this is Elgin through the ages. From here on, you know what? It's gonna be better if you can see me. Elgin through the ages. From here on, Lady Hill, you can look down across the modern town of Elgin. It's a city, technically. Bitch, please. It actually says over there, city. But it says yeah. This town has grown and prospered over hundreds of years. Its centre has always been its gathering and market space, which you can see this day around Church of St. Giles. That one over there. There are 3 industrial helps to prove a sense of just how much central space have changed. The mid-11th century. Elgin at this time would have just been a cluster of farm huts around the ancient Pictish cross slab that perhaps marketed an area of sanctuary and safe trade. Here, on Lady Hill, would have been a strong fort of earth and wood, located as it spans as it would have spine of the land above the River Lossy. Elgin has always been structurally important. In 1040, the wary troops of King Duncan returned here after the battle with, yes, that guy, Macbeth, carrying with them their wounded king. So yeah, that's another thing. Macbeth, you know that guy, claimed himself to be king and whatnot. Yep, that would be this place. Or technically over there. Now the battle actually took place just outside of Inverness, where most most battles that take place in the Highlands took place just outside Inverness. It was kind of inevitable. It was one of the biggest places this far north. Only other places would have been somewhere like Aberdeen, but even at that point, Aberdeen didn't actually boom into a big city until it, shown itself to be a major fishing port. That's kind of how it bloomed. But the Inverness wouldn't have even been that big. It would have been, it would only been because it housed like a few thousand people, where places like Aberdeen and Elgin would have only housed some like a few hundred people. But years. Although this was also the royal seat of Lord not Elgin. That's a military man, actually. Lord Murray, or I should give him his proper name, Earl of Murray, in this entire area. He actually had 2 palaces. The one you see behind you, which was a castle, which didn't contain a church, didn't contain a pasture. That was over there. Well, Spiny Palace did. So, there you go. Fucking ambulance ruining my scene. Anyway, so yeah, traipsing back through after the battle with Macbeth, this is where King Duncan, well, not really King Duncan, because he was kind of dying, but his people. Yeah. So, now on here, I do have to jump this just before we get on there. It says St Giles 1827, while the cathedral was 1224. Technically, the cathedral was the big cathedral, but St Giles actually there was actually a church there, but it wasn't named after St Giles himself. I can't actually remember, and it might say on the billboard who it was named after, but there was a church in the centre of Elgin, because technically where St Giles is actually the centre, although it doesn't look like it, because out that way is actually hilly, so it kind of looks it's a lot sparser looking over that direction, while if you look over here it's really dense. But that is because it is on the downslide and the levelling out of the hill. Now, this whole area used to be a massive hill, which is why the castle got built on it. But there was actually a church there to begin with, but I can't remember who it was named after. But yes, and that would have been the common man's church. Anyway, let's lower ourselves back down. Also, I can point out a few of the older buildings that have been, blinked up, and some of the newer ones. Well, you can probably tell what the newer ones are, but oh fuck me. There we go. So, sorry, I put my turning up. Late 14th century, Elgin grew into a prosperous royal borough, at the heart of which was now a major market held under the protection of king and church. The main houses of the town were arranged garb to garb end onto the high street. Each property was just 10 paces or so wide, with a paid given access to the long plot of land that led back from the street. To the rear, many of these plots were used to pen livestock, while at the frontage, craftsmen and merchants had their homes, workshops and stores. Oh, God's sake. Now, I have more on this, actually. So, as I said, the Earl of Murray, the king-appointed protector of the borough of Elgin, of Murray. We were actually never a borough, we were technically a shire. I don't know why, but we were a shire. We weren't Murray Borough, we were Elginshire. Unlike places like Edinburgh, which was the borough of Eden. There you go. We were a shire. Now, I don't know why, it's probably some thing, that we were never classed as an actual major city, but that happened. Anyway, on top of that, so the Earl of Murray placed himself upon the hill. He liked it here. He also liked, there's a building, just a minute, over there area called, well, to begin with, it was called the Huntsman, the hunting lodge. Oh, the dog, not the dog. It was called the Huntsman. Now, be careful with your wording there. But that was, literally as it sounded, was a hunting lodge. Dog won't leave me alone. Because the area was not very sparsely populated, people would often bring in animals. You know, actual livestock. Until some smart git figured out that I could set up a pub, have people stay there, and bring them out to a rural area where we can hunt. And the Earl liked this. So yeah, he started spending more time in the Huntsman when he was around in Elgin area, because obviously he had this entire place to protect. So he did that, which is pretty cool of him. Well, depending on how you're viewing it. There you go. I found a place to put this. So it's pretty cool of him. But thing is, he started spending more and more time here, and I was like, oh, well, it's cool, but I don't. Oh, hello. There's a dog. The Cocker Spaniel just kind of appeared. It's the same one. Came back. Yeah, he started thinking, oh yeah, he keeps coming back, and he liked it so much, and he built, he commissioned this. So on top of that, people were like, oh, well, we can probably get a bit more influence with King and Country if we built a house in. So houses started going away from the centre bit here and actually moved up to some of the area around here. People decided to move closer to where the Earl was and further away from where the church was, as they felt there was more protection by the Earl than by the church. Crown could protect you a bit more than God could, and all this. So they did this. I'm going this way because there's people just kind of staring at me. I was like, oh fuck. Right. So they did this. And then the lands that were around the church and the lands that then were appearing around the castle bit here, there's ill around about the 1400s. I'm not going to say centuries because that's a bit awkward. There's a different time in there. But they did that, and they connected basically, and that is what created Elgin's Royal Mile, or is what is now called Elgin High Street. Basically, this long track was left from where the back of the church, that way and that way, and they kind of connected up, and then people were building houses so their lands connected up to the back of other people's lands, and then they put fences up, and then it's like growing out the way, out and kind of around the centre, and then it fell down. As I said, I don't know when exactly it fell down. Probably around about the same time that the cathedral burned down, and you can maybe just make out the silver tips of the Wolf of Bainoch, who was the asshole who burnt down the cathedral twice. You think they would have learnt the first time, but they didn't, and they allowed him to burn it down the second time. And Marcus kind of sneaking around to see if they're still there. Oh, no. No, okay, we're back. Okay, here. I was like, oh, I seen him. I was like, oh shit, they're gonna secretly judge me for vlogging. Anyway, yeah. So, Wolf of Bainoch, burnt it down twice. Kind of a shitty thing. Anyway, now we go into... There is actually... I hate to tell you this, but there is a second billboard. But I won't go much into detail there. So, the late 17th century. The heart of Elgin remained the market. And the Muckle Kirk... that was it. The Muckle Kirk, now St Giles. And the toll booth. And bounded by fine stone built house. Behind these townhouses were still the district-long plots of land with their workshops and stables. Many of these closes, protected boulders, can still be seen as you look down on the town today. It was along these closes that beer was brewed, leather worked, beef and salmon salted and barrelled. So basically, worker strikes. Stints. So again, you can kind of see it. You can see the differentiation between a roof and a wall, and that's a close. Now Elgin has a lot of closes. I don't know. A lot of closes going up and down the street. Basically, they had one way and they had the other way. There's a Pacific close. It houses Joanna's, our nightclub, and a bar, a takeaway, and our cinema. Down another one, we actually ironically still have a leather worker. We have an engraver and a cobblestone. Not a cobblestone, a cobbler. There we go. Down another close. But it mostly lays off into back doors. We do have one that I like, that I commonly known as Hairdresser Alley. It's not, but it's got a load of hairdressers on it, so that's why I call it that. And yeah, basically you can still see that a lot that way. Not so much here. You have more, courtyards and whatnot, but a lot of these are newer, residently newly built. Just like our hospital, we still have the old hospital, but we now also have a new hospital and wards, which, it's a different story. So yeah, this granite stone here, smooth granite, was introduced back in 2011, and these plinths and billboards 2016, I believe. And this seat here, which is the Elgin Burns seat. Basically, Robbie Burns made his way through to do a viewing of the cathedral when it was still when it was actually not intact. It was burnt down by that point. Okay, yeah, it was burnt down by that point. Basically, we just left it. It's still being maintained, but it's not being rebuilt because I don't know. It's just not being rebuilt. Too much money, I guess. So I actually have to review one of my statements there. I got it wrong. Over there, Spiny Palace was the seat of the Earl of Murray. This was the seat of David I. There we go. So this was the seat of a royal power in the north of Scotland. This was the extension of King David I's, bit of power when he took over the region in 1120. Now, here's a little history of of Scotland. Scotland was a tribal place, controlled by many tribes up until the major reformation of the major tribes. Yes, I know that statement doesn't make sense, but it does. It formed into the Scots, the Pictish, and the Gauls. Now the Gauls you might recognise as a French Germanic tribe. They were a French Germanic tribe. We had French Germanics in Scotland. Not 100% sure how it happened, but it did. It is possible that it was during the War of Britain when the Romans turned up, bringing slaves basically this far up, and they just kind of got left here. Now they then split themselves off into Gauls. Now I can't remember if that's actually what they were called here, but that's where they originate from. But they're not important, they kind of died out / got absorbed by the other two. Now the ones that we have to concentrate on is the Picts and the Scots. And it's raining. Okay, I'm gonna leave this for a bit. Yeah, this is fine. So you have the Picts and you have the Scots. Now, they were the major tribes of Scotland at the time. And basically you can still see Pictish huts up and above in the north of Scotland. But because of that, you had infighting. And basically the north was quite wild. And basically that were built originally as wood and mud, basically, because they're not sure, but it might have already been the seat of power of the Pictish Scottish tribe that owned the area. Now, I say Pictish Scottish, somewhere down the line, both tribes merged into Scotland there. But 100% sure when, not so much. Given the fact that there is still fully intact Pictish death huts, burial huts, there you go, around, and the fact that we were still speaking Gaelic at the time meant that it was probably a peaceful thing. Maybe. Who knows? Who generally knows with us Scots. Anyway, so yeah, it was originally made out of mud and wood, possibly already the seat of the tribal leader of the area, as that's how they kind of think the clans became a thing. But when David I won the area in battle, he took it as his seat of power in the north. Now, it meant that at the time he had 3 seats of power. He had Edinburgh, he had Stirling, and then he had Elgin. Now you can just see which one stuck, right? But he had these 3 places, and then during the 18th century, it got destroyed. Now I'm saying that because it happened at some point during the War of Independence. We don't know which one. There is not massively accurate historical books to state whether or not it was the first one or the second. We believe it was the one in the 12th century, 1262 to be exact, when the English invaded and tried to claim Scotland as his own. We believe it's when this happened. It might have happened during the second one. No, again, not 100% sure. We think it is most likely the first one, given the fact that that's also when the cathedral got burned down twice. I like explaining. yeah, and we think it was probably around about the same time, you know, because Wolf of Badenoch and all this. But yeah, so a few other things. So this little beauty here was an illustration of what the castle would look like. And there you go. The buildings that started appearing around the centred seat, along with being over there and kind of building. On the right is a late century John Caesar's late 17th century engraving of Elgin with Lady Hill on the right. Oh, I was like, what? Sorry, I thought you were talking about this and I got confused. Talking about this. See, Elgin and Lady Hill. And then 4pence of Edward the First. Which is when we think was obviously left here during the fucking invasion. So I'm gonna read you the little Bon Chalet et Bonnie Villa. Sorry. Bon Chatsley et Bonnie Villa. In 1296, during the Scottish War of Independence, the castle was occupied by the invading English King Edward I and his huge army. Edward was impressed, writing the Bon Chalet et Bonnie Villa, good castle, good town. In 1308, the castle was recaptured by Scots, who then partly destroyed it in order to prevent further use by the English. There we go. So 1306, it was partly destroyed, and then it did. Basically, it was a fuck you to the English, because it had entailed basically 2 wars and 2 different people trying to take it. It survived the English taking it after David I had built it, and then it survived the pulling on my history here. And then it survived the Scottish king going back, booting them out, and then blowing up the wall. Probably with siege, to be honest, but who knows? So yeah, basically, I should probably talk about the elephant in the tower. That was a escape room, basically. Basically, it leads a massive staircase under the ground to the cathedral, so that if it was seen to be taken, and run and hide, basically. Which is also how the Wolf of Badenoch turned up and destroyed the place, because top lad. Twice, I must admit. But yeah, and if I'm correct, which I don't think I am, to be honest, I think that's the Earl of Murray. Now, we do actually have a current Earl of Murray. Don't know who he is. I think he's something like the 15th or 16th Earl of Murray. But yeah, we have him. That's all I know. Yeah. So guys, this has been a very long video, and I am sorry. Basically, you don't have to watch it all if you don't want to. But anyway, I thought I would finish off with a little trivia. Basically, my own trivia. Sorry, I'm slowly making my way down a hill in shoes that were not designed to go down a hill. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I might talk to you when we go onto the road. Well, that was interesting. Oh, back in this bit. Remember this bit, don't you? So, Yeah, basically, trivia about myself. Hi, my name is... Yeah, no. Hi, my name's Cameron. My last name is Gal. Now, that's not the interesting trivia. The interesting trivia is the fact that I am connected, through my family, to two of the biggest and most powerful families in Scotland. Now, don't want to blow my whole trumpet, but it's pretty good, you gotta admit. Yeah, so what do I mean by I come from two of the biggest and most powerful families in Scotland? Well, on my dad's side, obviously he's English, so, you know, I'm gonna pay for this in somehow. Yeah, so he's English, but the name actually connects to the McPhersons, which is a big thing because they're quite powerful in, well, yeah, I should probably explain a few things before carrying on with this. So, back in ye old times when clans did rule everything up in here old Scotland, McPhersons were a very big family up in the north. You know, Inverness way upwards. And that's pretty cool because I'm part of that. And that's through the name of Gow. We were... Now, I can't remember the genuine title that was given to the subsidiaries of the head clan. But I think of it as like, yeah, bannermen. I say from like Game of Thrones. That's what the gals were. We were bannermen to the McPhersons. Subsidiating to that, I actually have family connections to the Frasers. Now, Frasers are massive, as we actually have our own borough up just past Inverness on the coast of Fraserburgh. Ironically enough, but it's not the only place. So we've actually got a castle. So I think the Frasers got a castle up that way in Fraserburgh, but we've also got a castle a little further down, not as far down as like Edinburgh in that way, but you know, midway, which is actually part of a secondary Fraser clan, the Frasers of Lovat, L-O-V-A-T, Lovat, which are family ties to the Frasers. There's another doggy barking. And that's pretty cool. Except when you think about this, there's actually a secondary connection between the McGregors and the McPhersons and the Frasers, is that they are both, better not do this because there's a swimming pool, they are both similarly connected to the Stuarts, which you know, the true kings of Scotland. Yes. You know, Bonnie Prince Charlie, or Charles, Charles II of Scotland. Technically Charles I was Scottish. Just saying. But yeah, Bonnie Prince Charlie, the true king of Scotland, were, which I think is pretty cool, to be honest. I also have some more trivia, not about me, but I have two friends who are also connected to two possible kings. And now you're thinking, what the fuck? What do you mean possible kings? Well, one of them was technically the South-Hound King of Scotland, until he buggered off into a cave and started talking to spiders. That being Robert the Bruce, who, self-proclaimed King of Scotland. However, this was actually an odd thing, because during that time he was only the self-proclaimed King of Scotland because the other person that was actually going to get decided by popular vote, believe it or not, it's whichever king they felt had more right to the throne. Basically, I should state that both the Bruces and this other family name I'm going to talk about also had the same strong blood connections to the Stuarts. Similar to what the Frasers and McPhersons had, but the Frasers and McPhersons was something like 3 generations, where this one was literally 2. No, I think they were not even 2, they were like 1 generation. Yeah, I think they were 1 generation, to be honest. And that is actually the Bruces and the Cummins, who lately developed into the Cummings, which, then also broke into the Cunninghams. But that is something like 4 generation connection. So these 2 secondary connections was basically Robert the Bruce and John Cummin, who both claimed to be the rightful heirs to the Scottish crown. And basically it was going to end up in a massive war, because if it did, then Robert the Bruce would have won. Robert the Bruce had the power of the south, and the southern regions were, deadly loyal to the Bruces, while the north was also deadly loyal to the Cummins. However, breaking up to the south and the north, southerners had more power, had more troops than the north did. So there's that. So if it came to all that war, then John Cummin would have lost. But it was actually going to a diplomatic resolve, which probably would have still ended up in war, and Robert the Bruce would have still became king. There isn't a doubt to that. But basically, Robert the Bruce decided to execute John Cummin in a church. Basically, it wasn't like peace talks, but they were talking about it, and what would come to fruition. And basically, John Cummin said to his men, "Stand outside, nothing's going to happen to me, we're in a church." Basically, It's not so much nowadays, but Scotland was fiercely religious. We basically believed that anything that happened would happen on the basis of God. We'd always, Scotland had always been like that, even when we were under major paganistic, when we were under a pagan religion of Celtic paganism, which wouldn't really have been called Celtic paganism then, because it was just called religion. Yeah, it was this belief in the gods. But basically, they're in there, they're at the altar discussing what would happen, and Robert Bruce stabs him and leaves him to bleed out in the church and escapes out the back with his men. They're probably thinking, oh, well, how do you know that? It could just be the other guy, But even if you're taking into the fact that history is written by the victor, why would Robert Bruce allow that to be written? Well, he had no choice, because two men went into the church. One of them, both seemingly unarmed, but one walking with a limp. Basically, he had a dirk strapped to his leg, and his overcoat. No, it's not called double even. Would have covered it, and he slips it out and stabs him. And basically, it was proven. Really, obviously Robert Bruce claimed himself to be King of Scotland. But obviously eventually lost to the English, and basically his men and most of Scotland blamed him for it, and the fact that he murdered John Cummin in House of the Lord. It's got funny looks. I really shouldn't do this in public, but alas. So yeah. So Scotland, fiercely religious people, be it in multi-gods such as myself, or in Christianity as majority of the world. Actually, no, not the majority of the world anymore. I think Christianity, in all its forms, Orthodox, Catholic, and pagan, and Protestants, it makes up less population year by year, as things like, Scientology and other cults. It's not a cult. Atheism and humanists and just other religions basically take charge, to be honest. Anyway, I don't know how much of this will actually stay in the next video. I might cut a few bits of it out. Otherwise, I'll see you at some other point.